Straight from the headlines of today's news to those conversations you're having around the water cooler. If you are talking about it, so are we. This is your opportunity to express yourself. This is the Call-In Show, part of Nightline. Only on Dubai Eye, 103.8.
Just sing along to our intro tune.
Lara's in the house.
Hey everyone.
I'm James Piecowye.
How's it going?
You know what? Everyone's doing well. I'm doing well. You doing well?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Had a great trip last week, so yeah, can't complain.
Yeah, you got to get in on the travel show. Mark Lloyd.
Oh really? Yeah, I should actually.
Come in and talk them on. It's the Call-In Show. If you're wondering what you've tuned into, we are opening up the phone lines. They are open. The SMS line is clear. And we've got a question.
We do. A burning question.
A burning question. In fact, it's one that's been on the station pretty much throughout the day. People have been talking about this. Workplace.
Exactly. It's always a hot topic. It's always a controversial topic as well.
But we want to revisit the question.
We do.
Those who are starting their first jobs could be leaving high school, could be leaving college, maybe university. You've got your diploma in hand, you've done your internship, you're now going out to that first job, and are the expectations too high?
That sort of feeling.
Exactly.
That feeling.
And I really am wondering if our new students, depending on where you are in the world, they're called different things. Our young graduates who are entering the work world, if they have unreasonable expectations.
Yes. All bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to work, and then they get to the workplace, and it doesn't quite match up to that, fantasy they paint in their minds, whether it's been drummed up by the media or films and what they've seen and what they expect from the workplace, or, maybe they've just been filled with these expectations from the institutions that they've been in.
Well, and there have been experiences in the past. There have been conventions in the past of what people can expect to get paid, what work hours are going to be like, what work conditions are going to be like.
I mean, growing up, everyone. Well, I think I was part of that generation that thought 9 to 5. That sounds doable, but no. When you enter the world of work, you realize it really is 9 to 5.
You don't work 9 to 5 now. You work almost a 12-hour day.
Literally, yeah. It's 12-hour days most days.
So 9 to 9.
Sometimes on the weekends,
man.
Yeah.
What helped to prompt the question that we've been talking about right through from the agenda this morning with Tom Urquhart right through to where we are now is an article that's been circulating through much of the media here in the Emirates. And I'm looking at the Emirates 24/7 piece that headline, Emirati graduates want 20,000 dirham starting pay.
I mean, if they can get it, then great, good on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, is that realistic? Is it achievable?
And you sit down with some high school students who are getting ready to go to university or thinking, maybe I'll just take a gap year, maybe I'll just go out and start working. And again, expectations. What are the expectations like for salaries? Are we preparing our students for the world they're living in? You look around you. And around you from country to country, there's still a lot of unemployment. There are still a lot of very talented people in positions, and you get some new folks coming in. And yes, the very talented are always going to find a position, and maybe they're going to find extraordinary pay. Yeah. But for the most part, the idea is you graduate and you claw your way up the ladder.
Yeah. And hopefully there'll be something there ready for you to claw up to. But other times there isn't anything available. There's so high unemployment levels are ridiculously high right now, especially with the whole recession and whatnot. I mean, we are improving, aren't we? Right? It's improving somewhat.
It is improving, but we've got oil prices are sliding worldwide, which is depending on where you live. If we go to Canada, where I hail from, this is causing much of the resource industry to scale back, especially the oil industry. People are already scaling back. Unemployment's kicking in. People are losing their jobs. Redundancies.
Pay cuts. Exactly.
And so...
And it's like, I feel bad for the graduates out there right now. I mean, it was tough for me even as a graduate to find a job, but for my friends that had the expectation that they'd find something so easily because they've got this degree in whatever field, they're highly trained and highly qualified, let's say, not necessarily trained, and they have this expectation, and then all of a sudden it becomes a reality that there's nothing out there for them, or they're not as experienced as as anticipated, and they're not what the employee looks for, and it's a really tough time.
This is the Call-In Show. Lara's here in studio. 4001 is the SMS line. 04-423 423-1010 if you'd like to dial in and get involved in the program. We're talking about expectations of those who are graduating from high school, university, college, going into the workplace. Do they have unreasonable expectations, are new entrants to the work world? Some of it is also, here's a great one, because I'm fortunate to be able to sit around a table with internship students who are going out from, in this case, Zide University, where I spend my days. And having those conversations. Now, granted, these are also in many cases Emiratis, but just the general conversation about the world of work and what to expect.
And what are their thoughts?
Well, I think generally speaking, my students don't tend to have as many of these preconceptions that they're going to be graduating and just jumping into a middle to high ranking position.
So they're good that they understand that they've got to work for it.
Right, but they still do hope. I mean, like many students from most schools that I've met, some and even from the private universities, there's still this belief that they have more value than possibly is true. Yeah,
and I think that's where, like I was saying, a bit of disjoint happens because, in reality, these graduates, they may be talented, they may have studied for however many years, but they aren't necessarily experienced or as experienced as the person that's been in the work field for like however many years.
Well, here's the other thing, Laura, and this is, so I graduate and I have maybe I have a degree in advertising, let's say, and I get a job at an agency. Awesome.
Great.
And I get there, and there tends to be this feeling that what you've been doing in school, what you've been studying, the excitement that exists when you get to the work world, that same excitement, that same, constantly doing something new is going to exist. And unfortunately, it's not always that way.
No. As in, the excitement becomes dwindled, you say?
Well, I think that the real world of work has its ups and downs, and there can be slow periods. There can be times when
it's definitely
downright boring.
It's not like, I've never watched it, but what I presume TV show like Mad Men is like, or whatever, in terms of, you're always on a high. It's everything's really exciting all the time. There are down times, there are tough times, and times where you've really got to work for your buck. And then it just actually reminds me when you just mentioned the 20,000 dirham expectation. I mean, like I said, it's good if you can get it as a graduate, but is this a realistic expectation when you don't have the experience to back it up, or like I said, when redundancies are happening, cutbacks are happening?
Exactly. This is that big thing. 04-423-1010 is the phone number. A few people texting through asking. You can SMS through to 4001 if you want to get involved with the program. But also our number 04-423-1010. It's the call-in show, and we exactly get involved. This is all about you and your thoughts. And my other side to this is high school teachers, parents, aunts, cousins, grandparents. Are you doing your job to help educate those children?
And shine a light on the realistic
exactly.
reality of what's actually happening out there.
I often say to students, I say, hey, look at your parents, look at your brothers, look at your sisters. Do they love their jobs? What are they like when they come home? And some of them say, yes, you know what? My parents do love their jobs.
Great.
But there are many that say, you know what, they come home late, they're not happy, they're stressed, they're this, they're talking about the workplace realities. They might be working in this great venue, but there are lots of things that go on, and there are times when it's bliss, and there are other times when it's...
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to give both sides of the spectrum, or all sides of the spectrum, to the people that are coming up into the workplace.
So how do we get our youth, what do we have to do to prepare them for...
Just be honest, I think. From my perspective, I have younger cousins myself. And
set them up for what kind of salaries they can expect? Realistic salaries?
Yeah, I mean, go give them the lowest expectations possible so that they're, not, they're pleasantly surprised by the workplace, or, don't have unrealistic expectations. But yeah, I mean, the salaries out there, I can't speak across the industries in Dubai, but I mean, they're manageable depending on what your industry you're in. But yeah, I think in terms of the actual work-life balance and the environment you're working in, again, it depends on your company and your industry, but it can be tough.
And do your homework,
Yeah, you got to really, really know what you're getting yourself into, and it's a job.
What if you get to the job that you've trained for that field, and then you find yourself doing something that is in the field, but maybe you're working in the media monitoring side, if you're in media,
Yeah.
and again, we're sort of talking PR now, but maybe that your job today is going to be, or for the next 2 months is going to be to monitor media, to be running the clipping files, to, you might say, hold on a second, I trained to set up events.
I completely, like, I've had friends in that position before in terms of they've trained for whatever role and then they get to the role and they're doing like the sort of basic level of, or basically stuff that they weren't expecting. And I think it's still, you need to work yourself up. I mean, you're not going to be handed.
We've gone to school for 4 years. We have degrees. Come on, Lara.
Sometimes you can't be handed the role straight on a plate, James.
Why not?
I would love it if that could happen, but I understand the reality of it, that sometimes you need to work yourself up, gain the or earn the responsibility of your employer.
How do we get them to learn that? How do we? And this is across the board from all of our students, whether we're expats, whether we're nationals. How do we do this? I don't know. It's a tough question. We want to hear from you. The call-in show is all about reasonable expectations for our new employees, our students who are going out. They might be your children. They might be your relatives. How do you instill in them the reality of the workplace so they understand that they might not be jumping in as the senior manager of a company? They actually might have to work their way up from the mailroom.
And do you have any stories of any youths out there who've given really, disjointed, portrayals of what they're expecting of the working world?
Or your own story of your own when you graduated. Maybe it's just recently, maybe it's not so recent, but your story from when you entered the work world.
Did you have a big slap in the face?
Oh, yeah.
Harsh reality.
We want to hear from you. This is how you can get involved in the program. It's the call-in show on Nightline. It's the call-in show.
Hi, everyone.
Lara's here.
Hey, James.
We're talking about our new grads, our students who are entering the workplace. Are they prepared?
Are they prepared? Do they have the realistic expectations?
We got a great caller joining us, and we were having a conversation off air. Uh-oh, he's gone. Well, we're going to come back to him. Let's head to line 3. See who's joining us. Good evening. Welcome to Nightline.
Hello.
And we've lost line 3. Let's head to line 1.
We had more.
Good evening. Welcome to Nightline.
Hello.
Hey, hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
So we're talking about Mohammed. It's great to have you. Was I talking to you previously, Mohammed?
Yes, we talked about the diplomacy thing.
Yes, so Mohammed, great to have you on the line.
Thank you.
So, when we're talking about our new graduates going out, and just to frame it, generally speaking, the question is, are they prepared for the workplace, but are they prepared for the reality that maybe salaries aren't going to be as high as they want, maybe their status isn't going to be as high as they want, maybe they're not going to be doing the jobs right off the bat that they thought they were going to be doing? Do you think we're doing a good enough job getting our new grads ready?
No, but what I think is that they are definitely ready in the technical wise, like academic wise, and probably for the job market. I mean, for whatever their major is. But then they're not prepared for the reality itself. To face the reality, you have to be prepared with critical thinking tools, and to be prepared with diplomacy to face the politics that you might face in the corporate wherever you're working, and to know how to plot and to plan your way through the corporate ladder.
So do you think our new grads are maybe a little naive? Is that what you're saying?
They are. Yeah, they are.
They are.
I mean, not all of them, because sometimes when you talk about politics and diplomacy and these kind of things, there are people who can just it's an innate in them. They can just simply just plot it and think about it. But there are people who need to be taught. And just to have it in their mind, in the back of their mind when they're working in a corporate, because it's not as to be spoon-fed and whenever you join a big corporate or something. And there are people who've been there for a long time, and they don't want you to take them.
Yeah. So we got a big challenge there then on how we make that happen.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, what I propose, I mean, since you are also in the university, and maybe you can suggest them to just put these courses like, in the curriculum, like something with the diplomacy or something with critical thinking specifically for these kind of things, maybe I would suggest diplomacy for Henry Kissinger.
That sounds like it would be something that we just need generally in life, how to be a little bit more diplomatic in how we're interacting with folks of all sorts of different ills. Mohammed, your line's gotten a little bit difficult to hear. I'm going to let you go, but thank you very much for participating and getting involved in the program, and I look forward to talking to you again. Thank you very much for your input. We lost him there a little bit in the end.
But he raised a really valid point. I mean, it's not just about knowing the skills itself. It's knowing the softer skills and how to deal with office interaction and the politics.
Being up to date with that, as in that naivety, so that you realize, hey, this really does happen. It can be all roses, but maybe not. Let's head back to line 7, see who's joining us. Good evening. Welcome to Nightline.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Great to have you on. We're doing well. How are you?
Good. I'm Rashid. I'm
Rashid.
driving back to Ajman. I called you a while ago.
Oh, Rashid, great to have you on. Great to have you back.
I love this show. It's really good timing.
Well, we love having you.
Thank you.
Today on Facebook, it was all about this story, the UAE graduates for the salary. So
20,000 dirhams, they're saying.
20,000, I mean, I think they're expecting too much. I mean, I myself am a local. And
so you know the story. The in some cases it's the salary, but it's also expectation of rank.
Expectation, exactly. But in my experience, when I graduated, I joined a company here in UAE. Let's just say X company. And they took me under an undergraduate program that lasted for 18 months in the workplace.
Wow. So
in order to get that expectation, you need to complete the 18-month program.
Yep.
And during these 18 months, they train you, and you go through many training courses, and you really see the real world. But in this 18 months, if you're not successful, then you don't continue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know exactly
so what I think is that fresh graduates should go through this period of training, 12 to 18 months. I mean, I think that's good. And then if they're successful, they do get it, because 4 years of college or university, they don't have enough experience to be in the workplace. That I know from experience. I'm being honest here. I'm being honest.
When you left school and went into the training program at XYZ company, were your eyes opened? Did you go, I didn't realize, I thought I was better than this? Were you one of those folks? Did you find yourself in that position?
Well, maybe in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then I realized there's many things I need to learn.
Yeah.
And there's many ways many problems I need to tackle. But thank God, I mean, I finished that program and I'm fine now. So.
Yeah.
But my message for these graduates is you need some training and you need some time in order to reach that. You can't just expect to get there straight away, you know?
One of the big challenges right now is there are a handful of companies, larger companies in the UAE that have these programs that you're talking about.
Yeah,
but there are
exactly.
many companies that are really great companies don't have these programs, and increasingly they want their fresh graduates to come already with a set of skills, with experience, and the students don't have it.
Exactly, yeah, they don't have it, because even if they've done an internship before graduating, it's not enough.
No.
Yeah.
An internship, because I did the internship and they weren't taking me serious at the workplace.
No.
Because they were like, he's just training and he's going to leave.
Yeah, and an internship as well. It just lasts a mere couple of weeks in some instances, or a couple of months. It's not enough time.
So I think that this program should be in most companies. I mean, that's the way to go.
Hey,
that's just my thought.
Yeah, no, the great thoughts, and I really appreciate you taking the time to get involved in the program. And I hope you must be almost home by now.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I keep hearing your show.
Hey, thanks. We'll talk to you again soon.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Thank you.
So you see that's it's great points.
Yeah, and then you raised a valid point in the sense that sometimes it's the employers that have the unrealistic expectation in terms of the companies that don't necessarily provide the graduate schemes, for example, or these sort of induction programs. Do they have unrealistic expectations of the graduates themselves, to expect them to be fully packaged and ready to...
Well, and this is a big challenge, as we just heard, that... And as we've spoken about, that students leave, they go to internships. They're a couple of months, 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And there can be this false assumption on the part of that student who's participated in an internship. Well, okay, now I've got experience. Now I know what it's like.
I'm ready.
I'm
I
ready.
can do it.
God, put me in middle management. I'm there. No.
No, it's not. No, darling, it's not that easy. Yeah, I mean, but if you're the person that maybe worked more throughout your teen years, or throughout school, or maybe you've had more exposure to a particular role, maybe your parents or whoever or relative took you to work with them, and maybe you shadowed them.
Or
then
maybe family, if you were in the family business.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe then it's understandable, and you can maybe more easily, segue into that role post studying or post education.
Got a few texts coming through. We're going to get to those in just a second. This is the call-in show on Nightline. Lara's here. My name's James Piecowye. And the question we're asking is, are we doing a good enough job to prepare our grads for the real world of work? And that is ultimately preparing their expectations.
Yeah.
Expectations of the workday.
Yep.
Expectations of the salary.
Yep.
Expectations of the job.
Of the role itself.
I don't know how many students I've spoken to who seem to think that, you know what, I really just want to work a 10 to 3 job.
Does that exist?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, it could, but you wouldn't make so much salary.
Even in the government jobs, if I'm working at DIWA, they start at 7:30.
Yeah, is it 7:30 to 3:30 or something?
Something like that. It can be. And I've visited many government offices. It is a strict attendance policy. Like, you better be there at 7:30. If you're not there at 7:30, you're in trouble because you scan in. And so if you miss it, you're in trouble.
Oh, and they know if you're missing.
Oh, they know. I've been in other Emirates where they actually come around and scan your ID.
Oh my.
Yeah. So you're not there?
Very strict.
Yeah. Big issues. So
I mean, there are
and again,
upsides.
that's 7:30 in the morning. Another one of those was 7:30 in the morning in Sharjah. I was at an organization. 7:30 in the morning, they had to be there. They scanned you in. I know.
But then on the flip side, working for government, the great authorities to work for.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then again, can you easily get into these roles as a fresh graduate?
I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe in the past. I'm not so sure you can anymore.
Yeah, maybe you need to be more fully equipped before you can enter
We
those
want to
sorts
hear
of
from
roles.
you if you're a fresh graduate. What's your experience been getting out into the work world? Has it been everything you expected it to be, or have you had to take a big breath, eat a little bit of humble pie, and say, okay, I'm going to have to do something a little bit different.
Gonna have to go back to the drawing board.
Maybe I'm going to have to go get more training, take some courses. How's it working for you? We want to hear from you. And if you're a parent, if you're an educator, what's your side to this? Maybe you've got fresh grads working for you. Maybe you're someone who's interviewing. Are you in HR and interviewing some of these folks? We want to hear from you. Especially when you ask, do you have any questions for us? And they say, oh yeah, so when do I get my corner office? We want to hear from you right here on the call-in show. This is how you can dial in and get involved. We are talking workplace expectations for new graduates who are entering the work world. Who is here? Lara.
Lara's in the house.
James is over here.
James is in the house.
We've got a caller who's patiently waited.
Hello.
Works in the bank. He's a banker. Hey, welcome to Nightline. Good evening.
Hi.
Good evening. How are you guys?
We're good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I thought, this is one of those topics I was thinking about, when you guys are going to bring it up. So, I was just driving back home, and I thought I'll, dial in and give you my thoughts.
We'd love to hear your
Yeah.
thoughts because you must get a lot of fresh grads who are coming out your way.
Yeah, definitely. And recently, in my bank we have a graduate trainee program for Emiratis and others as well. So, yeah, I think especially in the last couple of years, we've seen some good quality people coming through, which, I think wasn't the case before. So, yeah, the only thing that I tell my, the people that join in as well is be a little patient because, they want to climb up the corporate ladder really fast. And I think patience is something that is not there. And I believe that, with patience and with skill is how you progress. So I think when I started off almost like 9 years ago now, what helped me was that the first bank that I joined, my line manager told me that, we want to invest in you. And before we do that, we want to be sure that you're going to stick around at least for 2 years. So they made me sign a bond. And, that I was told by everybody not to do that. But that helped me out. And, it wasn't UAE where I joined. In my country where I joined the bank, it was very common.
So, that has helped me a lot because I stuck around for 2 years, got to know the business inside out, and, it's been 9 years with the same employer now. So, sticking around with the same employer, continuing with the same job for a while does help you out a lot.
Now, when you were talking, when you were giving us your story, the fact that new grads who are coming to the business, they just don't seem to have patience to work their way through the program. Why do you think that is? What's from your perspective? Is it because we do everything so fast today, or just expectations of students? How would you put your finger on that problem?
I think it's a bit of both now. I think the organizations have grown so much that they don't want to invest too much time. You would see a couple of people progress really, faster than others, and they would make that as a role model. So, you would have a couple of success stories in your organization where people have moved up the ladder very quickly, and then everybody expects the same. So, it's a bit of both actually, and it's kind of worrying for all the employers. Like right now, you guys would know, you talk to people in, day out. Like banking has a lot of, openings here and there, and I mean, if you just stick your neck out, you'd be picked up with quite a substantial rate. You would see people move around. I mean, I hired 4 graduates, and in a span of 6 months, they left to competition bank.
Wow.
They were, so, I mean, that's 50% leaving the bank already. So, I feel a little, hesitant when I'm hiring somebody now because I'm not sure whether a fresh graduate is the right person to go for. I would rather hire somebody who has a 1 year or 2 year experience, and it's against what you guys were talking about before and as in, right?
Yeah. Would you say then, with regards to these, with these graduates flocking to alternative companies, would you say it's more a reflection on the current generation, being quite fickle and, just wanting to go to whatever's better out there, or would you say there was more loyalty in previous generations?
Yes, I think the previous generations had more stability and they were willing to invest more than time. Now it's more about how much I can make, how much I can in cash as soon as possible. Like when my line manager, I was lucky to have a great one, and he said, you need to invest 10, 15 years in your career, which bank you're with, which organizations you work for, and then maybe, at a later stage you want to move to a place where, your salary becomes your primary, focus. But now, people switch just because they're getting better salaries in a couple of years, move into an organization which might not have the best culture, but they just pay maybe, a few thousand dirhams more or less. So I think that does really, make organizations think whether to hire graduates or not, because, at the end of the day, they are not mature as somebody who has worked 2-3 years in an organization.
That's true.
Great food for thought. Thank you very much for sharing with us.
Thank you so much.
Really glad that you called through. Have a great night.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. We got some great texts that are coming through as well, Lara.
What's happening?
This is the call-in show, by the way. If you're wondering what you're listening to, this is Nightline, and the program is Dubai Eye. Lara's here. My name's James Piecowye, and we're asking the question, are we doing enough to prepare our new graduates for the wild and wacky world of work?
Loads of W's there. I love the alliteration.
A text has come through, says, and it's really a question. It says, do you think in the post-recession era, most of the companies in the UAE and maybe even the Middle East in general simply have little or no space for fresh graduates? And it goes on to say, I see graduates, especially Emiratis, coming out of their universities, but most of them end up working for their parents.
Yeah. I mean, like we were saying earlier in the show, I think it sometimes is the case that the graduates are ready and raring to go. They have fairly realistic expectations, but they're not really prepared in terms of the numbers of jobs available out there. And so they have to do alternative things, whether it be voluntary work or taking an extended gap year or something.
And there's a lot of students who go out, and the idea of not getting paid for work, and in different parts of the world, the whole idea of internships unpaid is slowly going away. Tim Holmes from Ajman has come through on the SMS line. Hello, Tim. Glad you're listening. He says, a possible solution meaningful, unpaid learnerships. Internships, but with a twist.
Okay.
To taste the real world work environments part-time while studying university degrees, to take the shock out of the transition from academics to the real world. And I like this idea because we do now require, especially in the government universities, it's almost a 2-month internship at the end of someone's studies. But I wonder if Tim isn't talking about more of, throughout one's studies.
I think it makes sense to do it that way so that you're becoming more acclimatized with your potential future role. And why not do it on a part-time basis? I mean, some degrees in the UK, they offer the sandwich degree option where you do, I think it's a year out in between your studies.
Right, kind of like a cooperative education system, which I think is a great idea. I think
it's definitely a good idea, and it hopefully sets you up with good relations within that particular company. So by the time when you do graduate, you hope to have something lined up as well. Does it make sense?
Noman has come through and says, most international companies in the UAE simply have no graduate training programs in place, even though these companies might have graduate training schemes in the country they're from. That's does
that mean as in global companies they'll have it over there but not over here?
These companies bring their names but simply don't bring all the benefits.
They'll have the headquarters, maybe let's say in the UK, where they have graduate training schemes or programs and whatnot, and then when you come over to Dubai, it's just you're just thrust into the role with real induction or training procedure.
Tim Holmes is back from Ajman. He's very learned in this. He clearly works.
We love hearing from you, Tim. He
says employers and learning providers have to get serious about vocation-focused L&D, learning and development. And he goes on to say, and also clear career management. Example. The UK companies typically spend 3% of turnover on L&D, that's learning and development, 3.75% in Europe, and it maybe isn't reached far. They haven't reached far enough when they're doing this. So he goes, as he said from the beginning, employers and learning providers have to get serious about vocation-focused learning and development.
Yeah, that's a true point. I mean, the training is the method to, ensuring your employees are developed and trained for the role. So yes, I think you should invest in it. If it definitely is going to impact the company's profitability, I mean, the future of your company. So why not invest in them?
Realistic expectations. Get those people who are starting. I know the banks are pretty proactive in this because at least in what I do, I've got several students typically who work and call centers in the banks and things, and they do it around their studies.
Oh, that's good.
So fortunately, the bank call centers and where the university are very close.
I see.
So and they tend to find that a nice awakening to the world of work. You imagine working in a bank call center? Oof. You ever called a bank call center?
No, I haven't.
Everyone's going, how happy or unhappy people are. So,
but I've called call centers, but I guess it gives you a little bit of taste of the world of work, not necessarily the job you want to keep long term.
Exactly. We're talking about how well or how poorly we're preparing our fresh graduates for the world of work. Lara's here. My name's James Piecowye. This is Nightline, and this is your cue to get involved in the conversation.
Hello, party people.
It's the call-in show.
Hey. Well, it's almost the weekend.
It's almost the weekend, yeah. I guess you're right. We were asking if we're doing a good enough, or if we're doing the job, if we're doing what we need to be doing to get our new fresh graduates ready for work. Yeah. And ready for work in terms of expectations.
Yeah, so mentally prepared, not just,
Do they have the skills? We hope they have the basics. Yeah. Reading, writing, arithmetic.
Yeah, so intellectually they're prepared on that level.
Can they take criticism?
Do they have the softer skills, the personality or personable skills?
Lara, there was a time not so long ago, and we did touch on this, that employers pretty much were expecting the graduate to come to them, and then they would do the job of getting them ready for work. IBM, GE, all these places, some of them more technical jobs. But, as long as you had a grad who could think and had some basic skills, they'd train them. Yeah. It appears in reading a lot of the literature today, especially from HR folks, that there has been a shift. Yeah. And where companies...
They want more.
Well, where companies were willing to invest in an employee, much like the banks are talking about, and spend a couple of years and train them up and really acculturate them to that industry. Yeah. Now, increasingly, companies want those students to come better prepared.
Yeah.
One step ahead already.
Yeah.
And this
those that have taken initiatives maybe to have done internships or get some more work
part-time
experience.
jobs.
Yeah.
But, that's harder. That makes it
they
harder.
want you to be heads of like societies at university.
Yeah.
Volunteer. They want you to do everything.
Yeah.
I guess because it's so competitive out there, they need to, find a way to set apart their prospective applicants. So,
A great text come in from an HR manager.
Oh, yeah.
And the HR manager says, clear communication from employers on what competencies, person specifications or specs, and technical expertise are needed to progress to your seniors' positions. That way, you can see where your shortfall is and what you need to do to climb the ladder.
But is it always so black and white? I mean, sometimes you find a person, and it's like, how do you rank them in terms of he or she has got this skill, she's got that skill? I mean, it's very... For me, I find it really much gray area.
In an organization, you come in, you need to have this basic level of technical ability, and over the next, it typically takes for people to move through the ranks in this organization 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
These are the mileposts that you need to hit at approximately these points with respect to increased responsibility, leading big projects. It might be different for everyone, but don't you think in many organizations the basis of advancement can be charted out?
I think think so. I think it's really tough, and especially because everyone's so different, and everyone
I don't know about that. No, I think you're making excuses there.
I'm not. I'm speaking from experience, and just speaking from the people I've seen that progress in different roles. So many people will progress at faster rates.
Well, it doesn't mean that it's guaranteed that it could be in 2 years. It could be in a year if you're just a superstar.
I mean, it could be.
Or it could be never if you're not a superstar. If you're the wrong person for that job.
I mean, there are people that just aren't compatible with a role, and
that, and I guess that's the one good thing about getting folks out there. Maybe the issue, and there's two things here. So let me back up. Maybe one issue is we need our students to start doing more part-time jobs.
Yes.
Second is maybe we do need to have a much longer internship period. That maybe it's at a couple times.
And I think a more realistic portrayal of the role, as opposed to an internship which is, places you in the photocopier room, actually giving them hands-on experience.
No, I want them in the photocopier room.
I think you need both, because one, yes, you need to, work up your experience and work up your responsibility. But on the flip side, you need to get the actual hands-on experience for yourself as a graduate or a student to know if you're compatible with a role.
I think they still need to be. They need to be pulling staples out of files too. Come on.
No, because I think if you do just not menial tasks, but tasks which aren't necessarily as related to the role, you don't have a clear perception of what you're getting yourself into.
Are you sure you don't have a skewed perception? Because there's going to be times when you go to jobs where you're not just sitting at the end of the desk telling people what to do, where you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty.
There is, and I completely appreciate that. But for me, I think because I worked from like the get-go. I worked as a teenager, and so I was already aware of these tasks. I knew how to do photocopying and stapling, and
I don't think it's training them to. I don't think it's training people how to use the machine. It's training them humility and the fact that they don't know enough and they haven't paid their dues.
Absolutely. Like I said at the start, I'm completely for these things and working your way up to these responsibilities.
We're going to have to arm wrestle. I can see an arm wrestle coming on in this studio.
Get me hot and flustered, James. But on the flip side, you need to get real exposure and real hands-on experience. Otherwise, how else are you going to know what you're getting yourself into? And how else can the employer know whether or not you're actually good enough for the role and, for a future potential, long-term role at that company?
Well, this is a great story because, as I said, I do have an opportunity to interact with internship students.
Exactly.
And more than once, I've gone and visited an internship student in what I perceive to be a fantastic place of employment.
Okay.
And as I'm leaving, the student will often say, "Well, sure, I'll walk you out." And so I head to the elevator, and I say, "So, what's going on?" And they'll say, "Well, okay, I got offered a job." I say, "Oh, awesome!" And they go, "Yeah, but you know what? I don't want to work here."
Really?
Or I don't want to. In some cases, what's happened is the process has worked completely because they realize, I've studied X, Y, Z as a major, and while I'm interested in X, Y, Z, this particular manifestation of my studies, not for me.
Or is it that this is their first glimpse of the world of work, and they think maybe something better's out there, and they just don't want to get settled down into this role because they thought it's not as good.
Money was good, everything was kind of good. Now they just didn't really like their job, and they were doing cool things. That's the other thing.
Wow, that's surprising.
Just realizing.
Maybe I think it's like it leads on to one of our earlier calls in terms of whether or not the graduates of today or this generation, maybe they're just too fickle, and they're not as loyal, or maybe they just don't want to be tied down so quickly or so easily.
It's possible.
Like keep their options open, which is not bad. I'm not putting you down.
No, for sure. It's been a lot of fun, Lara. We've had some great fun today.
This always happen, James.
I know. But before we go, I want to remind everyone of something in case you have not been awake.
What's up?
All day. You know that right now some of the greatest cyclists on the planet are in town.
Oh yeah, they are.
Because we've got cycling happening right now, right here in the city. It started today and it goes right through the week. This is kind of fun because Dubai is the official radio broadcaster, and we'll be broadcasting live from the event, as well as the Commercial Bank of Dubai is very much involved with this as well, and they're the folks who are making sure that the person who wins each leg, they're going to be wearing the leader jersey, the Commercial Bank of Dubai leader jersey.
Cool, Brandon.
So from today through to the 7th at the International Marine Club down there by the beach, you can go down, be part of the village.
Stop by, go check it out.
We're broadcasting there. It's excellent. You're really, truly going to enjoy it. So if you haven't managed to hear that there is some cycling going on this weekend, you've got to go.
And it harkens back to one of our earlier shows, James, in terms of things to do on the cheap in Dubai.
Well, there's another one. I've got another one, so you can start planning. The 15th to the 28th, tennis comes to Dubai over there in Garhoud. It's going to be great, and we've got all sorts of stuff still going on with the ladies' events, and with the ladies' stuff, 8 of the world's top 10 players are going to be there. There's still tickets available. Go get your tickets now. There's also tickets available for the first 2 days of the men's event, so you're going to want to go see this. It's up close and personal. It's a lot of fun. Biggest field of players that we've had, I think, almost ever coming for these 2 weeks. And Dubai Eye is broadcasting pretty much live from this event.
We're on board for all the big ones, aren't we?
In fact, I think Nightline's going to be there as well.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I think we're going to be there for 2 weeks. If I'm not correct, we're just going to pick up the desk and we're going to put it on the trolley and we're taking it right down to the tennis stadium.
That sounds cool to me.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. So going to have to wear. I always wear my best shirts.
Well, I have to say this week, James, you're a bit more reserved than usual. I'm not so impressed.
Okay. Well,
it's not as bright and colourful as I was expecting.
All right. Okay. Well, this is
still great.
This is my winter colours.
A bit too muted for my liking.
You wear black.
Hey! No one expects it of me, though. No one expects the bright, flamboyant colours. And I'll have you know, radio listeners, I'm wearing grey tonight. I'm wearing grey.
Okay. Lara, as always, great to have you in studio.
Lovely being here. Thank you for having me, James.
Look forward to doing it all again. The call-in show
too.
Comes to you every Wednesday at this time. And have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you for listening, listeners.